President Tinubu flags off 700-kilometer Lagos to Calabar Coastal Highway, says it will enhance maritime economic activities.
It's a symbol of hope, unity, and prosperity.
Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice drags 36 state governors before Supreme Court over local government autonomy.
First Lady Oluremi Tinubu urges youths to take ownership and build a prosperous nation.
Tell them the way it is. We don't accept nakedness in our culture. That is not beautiful.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine first year of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, focus on Ministry of Interior.
Right, Wednesday, May 29 will mark a significant milestone in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he clocks his first year in office.
That's true, Victor. And like it's usually said, how time flies. And Good Morning Nigeria, we're therefore commencing series of discussions from today, taking a look at the various sectors.
Well, already, Yemre, we are aware that activities to kickstart commemoration of President Tinubu's first year in office began last Wednesday in Abuja with a world press conference, you want to say, and after that, various ministers have been engaged daily on highlights of their ministry's accomplishments in the period under review. Now, the ministers have also been responding to some of the questions at the media engagement.
Now, the administration, if we recall, has an 8-point agenda: food security, ending poverty, economic growth and job creation, access to capital, inclusivity, improving security, rule of law, and fighting corruption. The Renewed Hope agenda, a transforming policy thrust, is aimed at repositioning Nigeria as a prime global investment destination.
Well, and that's why today we shall focus on the Ministry of Interior, a critical sector of government with a broad range of responsibilities, including internal security and protection of critical national assets under the leadership of Olubunmi Tunjojo.
The ministry has implemented various initiatives aimed at reforming the nation's internal security architecture, from passport reform to the introduction of new measures to combat internal security threats. The ministry has been at the forefront and, of course, been led by the minister in efforts to ensure a safer and more secure Nigeria.
Well, what are the other key achievements and challenges of the Ministry of Interior in line with the Renewed Hope agenda of the current administration? Well, we will be speaking with experts, analysts, and stakeholders, including the minister himself, to get a comprehensive picture of the progress made so far and what is yet to be done. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. I am Victor Azu.
And I'm Henry John, very excited this morning because it's Children's Day. Happy Children's Day.
To me?
Excuse me, you don't make the list.
My parents are alive.
It doesn't matter. You're already a father of nations. Anyways, to all the children in Nigeria, those watching now, those at home, because some are on holiday, of course, some are getting ready to have fun in parks and different places. We wish you the very best. Of course, Nigeria is great, and you will be great. Today's package is loaded, as we already told you, looking at the Ministry of Interior. Of course, we'll have the paper review. Chukwudi Okoli-Ugbaja will be with us. But for now, let's have a quick look at the latest in the news. And Mina Daniels has got the latest. Mina, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Henry and Victor. Good morning, Nigeria. Here now is the morning news. President Bola Tinubu says he will continue to take bold and courageous decisions that unlock potentials of the country for current and future generations. The president was speaking in Lagos at the official flag-off of the 15 trillion naira Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, which he believes will enhance the maritime economic activities in the country.
It's a symbol of hope, unity, and prosperity. It will connect communities, bring prosperity to people, create opportunity for millions.
The place of it as the architect whose hands are expected to forge a new Nigeria has always been part of national conversations. At a ceremony organized in their honor, the need for them to take ownership and build a prosperous nation takes the center stage again.
I urge us to keep believing in Nigeria. By the grace of God, we will witness the rebirth of a new nation that will take its rightful place among the committee of nations.
I urge you to continue striving for excellence, pushing boundaries, and never losing sight of the incredible potential that lies within you.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, has dragged the Attorneys General and Commissioners of Justice of the 36 states of the Federation before the Supreme Court over alleged lack of in place in democratic governance at the third tier of government. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, on behalf of the federal government, instituted the action against the 36 states, primarily seeking full autonomy for local government at third tiers of government in the country, as provided for in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Attorney General of the Federation, as the Chief Law Officer of Nigeria, is praying the Apex Court for an order prohibiting state governors from unilateral, arbitrary, and unlawful dissolution of democratically elected local government leaders for local governments. In the suit, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, is also praying the Supreme Court for an order permitting the funds standing in the credits of local governments to be directly channeled to them from the Federation account, in line with the provisions of the Constitution, as against the alleged unlawful joint accounts created by governors. The Supreme Court has fixed Thursday, May 30, 2024 for hearing of the suit. A Paris-bound businessman excreted 111 wraps of cocaine as NDLEA nabs a physically challenged dealer in Edo State. A 48-year-old Paris-bound passenger was apprehended and at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The suspect, who claimed that he is a professional footballer in Europe, was arrested on Tuesday, 21st of May, after a body scan confirmed he ingested illicit drugs. He was taken into custody, where he excreted a total of 111 pellets of cocaine that weighed 1,603 kilograms over a period of 3 days. In a related development, NDLEA operatives at the narco export shed of the Lagos airport have also arrested a freight agent over her alleged attempt to cargo 8 parcels of cocaine weighing 2 kg concealed in 3 out of 6 paint buckets containing shea butter packaged for export to the United Kingdom on Wednesday, May 22nd. And now normalcy has since returned to the train services along Kaduna, Rigasa, and Idu after the train derailment halfway into the nation's capital. This Sunday, on board the train were passengers who departed Kaduna about 8:05 a.m., but their train derailed at Jere about an hour later. A statement by the Deputy Director of Public Relations, Yakubu Mahmood, says all the passengers on board the Kaduna Abuja train arrived their destination safely. The statement further adds that a team of engineers are already at the site to restore the affected location. While regretting any inconveniences to the affected passengers, the corporation assures rail passengers of efforts being made to always ensure their safety and comfort. And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good morning. Nigeria continues with Victor and Inri after this commercial break.
Fellow Nigerians, it is a good thing to be Nigerian. Good news! The Office of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is organizing the National Fabric Competition, the hashtag One Nigeria Unity Fabric Competition. The aim is to create a fabric design that would be indigenous to Nigeria, showcasing our culture and unity. This competition is looking out for creativity, concept, and the message of unity. Open to Nigerian youths, both male and female, between the ages of 15 and 25 years. And guess what? You can apply wherever you are in the world as long as you are Nigerian. The winner of this competition goes home with a cash prize of 25 million naira. Are you sure I will not apply for this competition? Submission of entries close on Sunday, 30th of June 2024. Submit your entries by sending pictures of your designs via email to unityfabric.ofl24@statehouse.gov.ng, making sure you capture all parts of your designs. Together, let us unite Nigeria!
I'm the photographer of Black Milk. I have an exhibition in 8 weeks about how things get better with time. Darling Natural Twist inspired me. I'm seeing how the twists blend with her hair over time, how she actually feels more confident. She's really more beautiful every week. That's definitely worth celebrating. Darling Natural Twist. Twists that get better every day, just like you.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes please. Provide care when her nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
The new Happic sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just one sachet for your toilet bowl. It gives 10 times better cleaning and big savings too.
Wow, Helen!
Sparkling clean toilet with Happic sachet.
You have to meet my best friend. She's the sweetest. Hey, check out my hair.
Which one? The one on your head or the one in the sink? Relax. Next time, just use the Mega Growth Anti-Damage Relaxer. It's infused with wonder oils and conditioning proteins for visibly less hair breakage after retouching. Now your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Mega Growth Anti-Damage No-Light Cream Relaxer for visibly less hair breakage after retouching.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From Nestle.
We are passionate about two things in Nigeria. The first is football. The second is our rice. And nobody celebrates like a Nigerian. So, for every goal scored, every mark made, you can be sure to always come back home to rice. Celebrate with Nigerian Premium Big Bull Rice, homegrown just like you. Big Bull Rice, tasty rice, nourished you.
Something new is about to hit your imagination of TV. A brand new sundial with StarTime's inbuilt technology. New TV innovation with an inbuilt decoder that connects you to both StarTime's antenna and satellite signal. StarTimes Sundial TV, you can enjoy over 300 local and international channels, 1 month StarTimes highest bouquet for free, automatic system update. More benefits, more affordable. StarTimes Sundial TV is available in all StarTimes branches and dealers countrywide. StarTimes Inside, entertainment inbuilt.
All right, thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. And up next on the program is newspaper review.
All right, I got our newspaper reviewer, Chikudi Okoli-Ugbaja, with us this morning. Chikudi, good morning to you.
Morning. How are you, Nyere?
Very well.
How happy was the weekend?
Fantastic. In fact, I had a great time.
Good morning.
You're singing a different note today. I always hear a Jeremiah of, this job takes too much of our time. You don't have enough time to rest. I'm happy for you.
It depends on the side of bed she woke up from.
Actually.
This is one that keeps kicking a leg or kicking a foot.
For breaking a leg.
Victor, good morning.
Good morning.
My red cap is not exactly like yours. Okay?
All right, so let's take a look at the headlines on the papers this morning. I have a quick question because I'm looking at the headlines and I don't see anything about children, and today happens to be Children's Day. I'm wondering, as a nation, are we forgetting that we have children that, we need to...
You and I should lead the protest. We are children after all.
I
children of our parents.
Victor, you're almost a grandfather, by the way. I was hoping not to say that, but you made me say it. So let's take a look at the lead stories on the front page of the Blueprint. It leads with federal government drags governors to Supreme Court over local government autonomy. The riders, 6 stoppage of caretaker committees, joint allocation orders. Away from that, we have Niger. Terrorists kill 7, abducts 150 in Munya. 25 gunmen neutralized. The rider, my people now sleep in forests. Council chair cries out. Not a good one. Details on page 8 of the Blueprint. Away from that, just below the masthead, we have Kaduna police arrest 3 for smuggling hard drug into cell. That's on page 10. And then we have Edo Queens win maiden NWFL Premiership title. Looking away from that now, we have this story. Uneasy calm in Kano as 2 emirs operate from different palaces. Dahiru Bochi urges respect for rule of law and peace. Just away from all of that now, looking below the picture story on the front page of the Blueprint this morning, we have 2 kidnapped Kogi State students killed. That's according to the police. Nigeria's economy defies rising inflation, expands 2.99% in first quarter. So that's the much I can take from the Blueprint. Let's quickly move to the national economy, which leads with 17 years after last census. Data gaps still hinder Nigeria's proper economic planning. Above the masthead, Nigeria's startups secure 29% of Africa's $15 billion investment over 5 years. Details on page 5. And we have a picture story here, and of course shows Nigerians on the street hustling for their daily bread. And in the red strip, we have deploying AI to achieve seamless data voice connection in Nigeria. So that's it from the national economy. Victor.
All right, and off to the Nigerian pilot. Well, it leads with the major headline which reads, LG funds. FG drags 36 governors to Supreme Court. And there are 4 riders here, 6 full autonomy for local governments as 3rd tier of government. Once order prohibiting governors from unlawful dissolution of democratically elected council chairmen. An order permitting funds for councils to be directly channeled to them, and sought an order stopping governors from constituting caretaker committees to run local government affairs. Well, that's that. And police arrest 4 kidnappers in military uniform in Akwa Ibom. You get details of that on page 5. Above or just below the nameplate, Obaseki pays 70,000 naira new minimum wage to Edo workers. That's also on page 5. Good news for them. Gunmen attack 18-passenger bus in Ondo, kidnap 4. That story is also on page 5. And just one in sports. Raw to unleash 3 Nigerians on Super Eagles in World Cup qualifier. Well, let's leave it here. Chooks the boy, or the man.
So Raw wants to roar, you know, at Nigeria will vanquish. He was once here, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And now he has become an opposing coach.
Well,
we'll take him
he
down.
coaches Benin now.
Gangling Finidi George and his crew, his managers will take him down. Anyhow, let's quickly go to 2 very important issues. One must say, local government autonomy. FG drags 36 state governors to court. The federal government is for direct allocation to local governments, as against what those we have jocularly called the czars or the emperors in the states operate. Joint account with the local governments. That's not how it's supposed to be. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, that's Lateef Fagbemi, is instituting the case on behalf of the federal government. Of course, the state attorneys general and commissioners of justice are supposed to stand in for their respective states. Now, the federal government is saying that the states are abusing power by what they are doing, you know, the joint account system. We have been talking about it. And without prejudicing what the Supreme Court would eventually come up with, we have this impression that the local government chairman in Nigeria are boy, you know, wherever they are, and the state governor is the czar up there saying how things work. That is not, to my mind, how a federation should work. It's just like the state police thing we're talking about. Where you have federating states, they have their different levels of security. Nigeria can be different from that. That's my opinion. Let's see how what is happening at the moment pans out. You understand? But something like security, for instance, has become so unwieldy that a centralized point of, you know, administration of security is no longer tenable in this century. So let us see where this case would go. The Supreme Court, the apex court, is, of course, having direct jurisdiction to handle this case. That means that we expect it to be speedily dispatched and all that. I think it's going to involve a lot of
30th May is a date.
Legal fireworks. I think so. But to me, the case is okay. We don't prejudice the case.
People are smiling in Edo State already.
You know, this Obaseki of a man, we're not here to promote any functionary in public, but I will always talk about the NDLEA man. I'm sorry, but I like the man. Just like Borno State governor.
But there's nothing wrong if someone does good.
I like those people.
If
so
someone does
I'm
good,
beginning to like
good.
Obaseki as well. He's gone preemptive. 70,000 naira. Within Benin City, the Benin City, good old Benin City.
That's actually more than double.
You know, I had a good time there eating frozen chicken, planting the size of your head, you know. Things were just massive there. They are blessed. You know, the Ondo and Benin, they do access. It's like the rainforest. A lot of good things grow there. So I'm happy for Governor Obaseki for blazing a trail. You know, I like people who are proactive. But let me say that in terms of the direct allocation government is advocating, let's be fair to Erufai. I heard at a point that he actually was allowing local government funds go direct to them, you know. So it might not be all the states that but it's the 36 government is taken to court, you know. So let's see how all these things work out. But there is something brewing in Kano which we hope they will put a lid on as soon as possible. The tussle, the emirship tussle, the protests were reported in Gaya and Nasarawa communities. Gaya residents are asking for the reinstatement of their own emir, one of those that emerged when the Ganduje government in 2020 created emirates beyond the sole emirate you and I had always known. The plea to Kano people is, whatever your protestation is, whatever your grudge is, make sure you carry it out in a civilized manner, because that peace and harmony should always not be, it should never ever be jettisoned, even when we make the most bitter of protestations or protests. That's what my mind tells me about the matter.
True. That's what it should be.
We wish them luck.
All right.
At the end of the day, the traditional institution in Africa should not be abused by politicians. Influence. I'm not saying that that is what has happened. I'm just letting out a word of warning. You were talking, madam?
Yes, of course, that's a story very interesting about what's happening in Kano at the moment. But this story about the 2 kidnapped Kogi Basti students that have been killed is also a sad story. And we hope that other students still in captivity, can we can help secure their release as soon as possible. Security operatives, get into action to make sure that they get back to their parents safely.
I didn't read that story.
It's a sad one because the report says that there's ongoing talks with the kidnappers, negotiations, parents and all of that, on how to pay ransom to secure their release. Unfortunately, 2 of them have been killed, and some of them are still...
It's not as if they made a run for it and they took them down.
Not at all.
No. I hope it's not a warning about what will happen to the other ones.
So
if the parents or the security people do not play ball.
Exactly.
This is not good for us at all. It is not.
Honestly, and to think that the students were in their classes studying when this happened, just shows that we just need to, do the needful. I mean, it's not like they're out of school and, this meets them. This is being in school and then you get kidnapped and then get killed eventually. I just think that...
What is sad thing to happen, close to Children's Day. I always say that women and children are underreported in Nigeria by the Nigerian media. We have to do things to really... I didn't see blazing headlines
about children.
I
mentioned it. I mentioned it earlier.
That's not good.
Very painful.
You
honestly.
must write about the future. Any country that means to make progress among the Committee of Nations must always give attention to children matters. I don't like...
I'm not sure this hasn't been the case. Hasn't always been the case.
Exactly, Victor.
I'm not sure why. Is it because of the LG thing? Papers want to sell.
No headline.
Even within the papers
no
themselves,
headline is big enough to bury children on Children's Day.
Exactly. That is the point.
Today is Children's Day.
Those who are marketing the papers will tell you that they want to sell.
Victor, don't justify it.
I'm not justifying. I'm just saying the thinking
must
behind
be
it.
At the fore there.
Well,
by the way, I was expecting the both of you to get something for me as the child.
You're not a child. You are an oppressive journalist who bamboozles
you very much.
This goody oldie who's giving you gifts.
We'll take a break. When we'll come back and get into the conversation. Of course, we're focusing on 1 year of the Renewed Hope Agenda, and the Ministry of Interior gets our focus this morning. Please stay with us.
A good farmer is a craftsman of the highest order. It is said, great farmer, great nation. No farmer, no nation. Yes, let's set the ball rolling to build that great Nigeria where good food is in abundance, affordable and easily accessible. The Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, an initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, is aligning with the vision and aspiration of the administration of President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, and is organizing the Every Home a Garden competition. The competition is under the scope of agriculture of the Renewed Hope Initiative. For the competition, women are encouraged to immediately plant a garden at home, such that the harvest can provide adequate food on their table and enough to give their neighbor. This competition is open to only women. She must be a first-time farmer. The garden must be in her home, and it is open to women in every state of the Federation and the FCT. Interested participants should do a 30-second video and a picture of the garden, which indicates its location, to the office of the First Ladies of their various states. The winner of this competition will be announced in December December 2024. And the winner of the competition goes home with 20 million naira. Women, join the train. Be part of the food revolution in Nigeria. What are you waiting for? Let's get to work. This message is by the Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI, an initiative of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From Nestle.
You have to meet my best friend. She's the sweetest. Hey, check out my hair.
Which one? The one on your head or the one in the sink? Relax. Next time, just use the Mega Growth Anti-Damage Relaxer. It's infused with wonder oils and conditioning proteins for visibly less hair breakage after retouching. Now your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Mega Growth Anti-Damage No Light Cream Relaxer for visibly less hair breakage after retouching.
Okay. A man isn't ready to have a family if he doesn't have dash.
A wife.
A wife. Mark, you know which, have you? You
Very
sabi?
well, very well.
You sabi witches?
I know them.
You know them? Hey! You don't follow. I get lucky, I know be witch. Essie, how are you?
I'm fine.
How's it going?
I'm okay.
You seem very excited.
Oh, wow, I'm enjoying myself.
She might be a stripper, but she's also dash.
Innocent.
Decent.
Intelligent.
Trustworthy.
Mark, introduce yourself and the rest of the Wazobia family.
I'm a gospel minister.
Is there money there?
We are not there because of money.
Why do you come here to collect 5 million?
Because money also aids the gospel.
Wow!
Without money, your anointing can die.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
The lights are on and the stage is set for dreams to take flight. Who will be the next idol? Watch Nigerian Idol live performances every Sunday at 7 p.m. and you get to decide by voting for your favorite contestant. You can vote via website, mobile site, or by using the My DSTV or My GoTV app with no stress. To vote via website or mobile site, simply visit africamagic.tv/Nigerian Idol. Click on vote, register, and then enter your details and a password of your choice. It's easy and it's free. You can also get AWOOF votes for your favorite Nigerian Idol contestants. All you have to do is download the My DSTV or My GoTV app and you have more voting power at your fingertips. Visit the website for more information. Voting opens on Sundays after the live shows and closes every Thursday at 8 p.m. Remember, vote for your favorites each week and you get to decide this year's Nigerian Idol.
Nigerian Idol Season 9 is proudly sponsored by Techno, Stop at Nothing, and Biggie for every moment.
This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And to begin our conversation on 1 year of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, with focus on the Interior Ministry, let's take a look at this background report put together by our correspondent Abdusalam Jibril.
On Wednesday, May 29, 2024, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be commemorating his first year in office and understandably taking stock of various sectors in the past 365 days has become a norm. One of such sectors is the Ministry of Interior, saddled with the responsibility of providing complementary internal security, such as border management and other ancillary services that includes granting citizenship, consular and immigration services, reforming and reintegration of inmates, among others. Formerly known as the Ministry of Internal Affairs until 2007, some analysts note that in the past 1 year marked a turning point for the ministry, signifying a deep commitment to the President's renewed hope agenda. They insist that the ministry has witnessed a series of groundbreaking achievements that have reshaped the landscape of service delivery, reformed policies, and placed the welfare of Nigerian citizens at the forefront. It is on record that upon assumption of office by the minister in August last year, he swiftly cleared a backlog of 204,000 passport applications within 2 weeks, coupled with the removal of stringent bottlenecks in the acquisition of passports and other immigration documents. Prioritizing the welfare of officers has also received a boost, having witnessed an unprecedented promotion of about 32,361 personnel across the Nigerian Correctional Service, the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Federal Fire Service, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Technological innovation has also been witnessed with the e-platforms for visa processing that allows passport photo uploads. This has increased accessibility and convenience for Nigerians seeking visas. Other achievements recorded so far includes the criminal justice reform and rehabilitation, which has led to the release of 4,000 inmates from correctional centers. However, certain challenges abound. For instance, in the correctional centers, overcrowding still persists, as well as lack of basic facilities. The recent escape of over 100 prisoners following severe rains that caused damage to parts of the Suleja prison infrastructure, and the 2022 attack by insurgents aimed at releasing incarcerated members underscores challenges faced by the country's prison system. Guests on the program will be speaking to these and more shortly.
All right, thank you very much, Abdul Salam Jibril, for that background report. And joining us right here in the studio to discuss the Ministry of Interior as part of the first anniversary of this administration is Dr. Olubunmi Tunjojo, and this is the first time we're having you here. Minister of Interior, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your Vanguard Personality of the Year award just on Friday.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, we have also been joined here in the studio by Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, retired Assistant Director General, DSS, former security advisor to former Governor Masari, Director Monitoring and Evaluation, National Institute for Security Studies. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Welcome. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
And also joining us for the conversation is Dr. Uju Agomo, Executive Director, Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, PROWA, and member, United Nations Subcommittee on Prevention of Torture. She's also an Executive Committee member, West African Regional Coordinator, African Security Sector Network. She joins us via Zoom from Benin City. Many thanks, ma'am, for joining us.
Good morning, Nigeria. I'm to be part of this.
I begin from here with the Honorable Minister. Well, the President is 1 year in the saddle. You are about 9 months. Give us a sense of what your mandate is, by the time you were appointed, your grasp of what your mandate is and what you have been able to do. What plan did you map out, and what have you been able to achieve within, this period under review?
Thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians. Let me start by congratulating His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for the 1 year anniversary. It's been challenging, but obviously it's been quite fulfilling. And let me say, in the Ministry of Interior, I will start by saying what the President told us before the inauguration, and that continues to ring bell, in my head. He said, and I quote, "You've not been appointed to make excuses. You've been appointed to provide solutions to problems." And that automatically shut the door, against any excuse. You just know that you accepted the job, and the job must be done. And in the Ministry of Interior, basically, we know the ministry is in charge of citizenship integrity and, of course, internal security in collaboration with other agencies of government. And coming on board as Minister of Interior, being appointed by His Excellency, we had a stock taking immediately we came into office. And of course, that's because of my own professional background. I mean, I've been a management consultant over all my life. So, and I know that you have to plan, you have to spend more time in planning than even execution, because when you plan well, when you properly plan, then execution becomes easy. And when we came, we looked at the ministry, we looked at the agencies under the supervision of the ministry. For instance, the Nigerian Correctional Service, the Immigration, the Fire Service, and the NSCDC, and of course the board. And when we looked at the situation on ground, we did a SWOT analysis, and what's the position and what do we need to do. So we broke this to short term, mid term, and of course long term. Because I always say this, as a leader, you don't just plan to succeed, you must also plan to have a successful successor. That, okay, even when you leave, you should have built a strong institution that will be able to stand on its footing. It's not just enough coming and just having what we call a facade, like you just come and make and when you go, the whole thing dies. And that, as Obama said, is one of the major problems of Africa, that we build strong individuals and not strong institutions. But we believe that the president's aim, the president's ambition is to build a strong institution, an institution that will be able to even outlive this particular regime. So you can only do that when there is a work plan. We talk about Lagos today, that, oh, this was how the president inherited Lagos. He set the foundation for a prosperous Lagos. He stopped being governor of Lagos about almost 17 years ago, but was still referred to his legacy in Lagos because there was a work plan, there was a roadmap, so any government that comes in, all you need to do is just to be able to take the work plan. Of course, you can rejig it, to suit what you want, but at the end of the day, the framework is there and you build. So subsequent governments coming after governors coming after President Tinubu didn't need to go back and do that roadmap all over again. So that's one of the few things we've been able to do in the Ministry of Interior. And I'm happy I saw Barrister Uju. They've been very helpful, especially Prawa, in terms of the correctional service. When we came on board, I'll use that as an example in the correctional service. We did a stock taking of our inmates, looking at the paper, and we saw that we had about 86,000 inmates as at that time. And the first thing we had to do is, okay, how do we decongest first of all before anything? And we sat down and we looked at the records and saw that about 5% of that number, over 4,000, happens to be people in incarceration because of inability to pay petty fines. Some, it will surprise you, as low as 10,000 naira. Some even below 10,000 naira. And a lot of them, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they've been in jail for inability to pay this fine. So what we had to do was to, of course, reach out to private sector, to friends, and we're able to raise about 600 million to be able to pay the 585 million naira fine, and over 4,000 people were released, when we were able to offset that. The greater implication to Nigeria is that we're talking about prison over congestion in our correctional service. That has reduced that, even though we are still over congested, but at least that's reduced it a bit. And also, that's 5% off the inmates. And secondly, is that it has saved us, even with the present scenario of about 1 billion naira feeding for a fund, from government. Because when you look at an inmate, that 4,000 plus goes to about nothing less than 3 million naira feeding in a month. And I mean 3 million naira in a day for these 4,000 people. When you multiply by 365, it means that we have been able to save government of 1 billion annually, without taking a kobo from government. We've been able to do that. And secondly, in the area of correctional service, I have to say this. There's a project we're about to start now, which is immediately after we did the decongestion. The whole thing we had to look at was to do an infrastructural audit, which we have done. We now know, okay, going forward, because we have 256 correctional centers, which to me, I think is unhealthy. And I personally think it's unhealthy, having that large number. It stretches government in terms of maintenance, it stretches government in terms of even security. Securing 256 centers at the same time could be quite tough. So, and of course, the effect of urbanization. I'll give you an example. Look at what happened in Suleja. That Suleja prison was built in 1914. That's about 110 years. And by international standard or protocol, prison is not a correctional center is not supposed to be less than 100 meters away from the next building. But Suleja is just about 7 meters, because maybe in 1914 it was the facility was standing alone, but urbanization over time has cut off. So when somebody escapes and within 7 meters is in another person's house, it's difficult for you to be able to. So we're looking at relocating some of our correctional centers, completing the ongoing ones and building bigger prisons, correctional centers like 2,000, 3,000. Then that reduces the number that we actually need to take care of. And apart from the infrastructural audit that we've done, another one that we're doing, which we're reaching out to Prawa, they've been very helpful technically for the corrections, and we're reaching out to them to leverage on their technical expertise as well, is the issue of the inmate audit. And I think by today, tomorrow, letters will be out to the people that are to serve on that committee. We have the Nigerian Bar Association. The president was in my office on Friday. The national president, Mayaki, SAN, was in my office. And they've accepted to also serve on that committee. We have the Legal Aid Council, and we have the CSOs. And of course, without advertising power, they've been like the lead in CSOs in terms of correctionals. So we are also reaching out to them to be on that committee, so that the civil society, they actually represented. Then the Ministry of Interior, of course, the Nigerian Correctional Service and the Human Rights Commission, to basically do what we call the inmate audit across the 256. One, we need to know the exact number of inmates that we have. This will curb corruption, to be sincere, because a scenario where I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but we just think we need to be sure this is our number, so that when we are planning, even feeding, medicals, or clothing, we know the number we're dealing with. It's not a scenario maybe we're just 50,000 and there is 80,000 and government is paying for 80,000. So we need to be sure. Then two, we also need to be sure that the people that are in the correctional centers are actually people that have business being in the correctional center. I give you an example, not to bore you. I was invited to Berekete family some times ago, and a young boy came there and he spoke about his ordeal in correctionals. When he was just arrested for nothing, he was thrown into, and he was there for years, to the extent that one of his hands were actually destroyed. So in fact, we went to about 3-4 different hospitals. They said there's no choice but to amputate the hand. This is a boy who graduated, who looked for a job, couldn't get a job, went back to his village, started farming, got married, went to the kiosk to buy food for the child, and from there he was picked. And the next thing is straight to the correctional. He wasn't tried, there was no remand, nothing. And this boy was there for years, until an NGO came for the normal NGO thing before the boy was released, and that's how many years of the boy have been wasted. The mother died in court. So we believe that might not be an isolated case. There might be other people like that. If you do know, and just last week, the Commissioner of Police in Kano spoke about over 400 people that they have discovered, for instance, without a remand warrant, in the Kano Correctional Centers. If that's 400 in one state, how many do we have
across the state? Beautiful, Honorable Minister. You've spoken so much about the correctional service. Could you speak to us about what the ministry is doing and the issue of border security and irregular migration?
You see, the reason why I'm talking about the correctional service is because the strength of a government lies on how the weakest are treated. For those in the correctional center, they are already serving punishment of incarceration. Freedom is everything in life. And for people like that, it is important for us to be able to provide solutions and make sure that the name has changed from prison service to correctional service. In terms of attitude, in terms of ideology, in terms of our orientation, the agency must not just change, must not just be seen to have changed the name from prisons. They must change in terms of being correctional, transformational, a place of hope, a place where renewed hope can be seen to have been domiciled. So that's why it's a bit that I'm a bit particular about correctional service. We've done a lot, but there's a lot more to be done, because I can tell you we have not even gone 5% in the correctional service, because when you look at the state of our, but I tell people this, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not become president in 1914 when Suleja was built. He did not become president in 1955 when Ikoyi prison was, correctional center rather, was constructed. He became president a year ago, and in that time we've been able to renovate about 10 of centers. We have about 9 present that we're starting now. And when you look at Kuje, you look at the perimeter fencing, because the first responsibility is the people, the inmates that government has given to you to keep. Make sure they are safe and they are in good condition. That's our responsibility. And to do that, we need perimeter fencing, we need infrastructure. And when you get to Kuje as a case study now, you will know it's not the Kuje that you knew 2 years ago. That's part of what the president is doing. Not to bore you with correction, because we can sit here. Correctional is a topic for a whole day. We can sit here and talk all day about correctional service, because I believe it's very key to our legal system, our criminal administration system. Correctional is very key. So we can sit down and talk about it. But in terms of immigration service, I will tell you, one of the biggest achievements of this government so far as I'm concerned, in terms of immigration service, it's not even the issuance of passport. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've been able to put the structure is on ground for passport administration. I tell you, it can only get better. Never again are we going to have backlogs where people will need to bribe and whatever. In fact, the people that collected bribe from people that we apprehended, because we did what they call mystery shopping. People coming as if they are just to acquire passport, and people demanded bribe, and we arrested about 15 of them, 16 of them. They are presently being tried in immigration. So after that, they will come to the board for proper sanctioning. So we are actually doing that, because a Nigerian deserves to get his right. The right of a Nigerian must never be seen as a privilege. Passport is a right. As far as I'm concerned, if you can afford it, it is your right as a Nigerian. So for any officer being paid by taxpayers' money to sit down and now turn that right to a privilege, it's something this administration will never condone. 5-year passport is 35,000. 10-year passport is 70,000. If it's 1 naira more, if we know, we will get the culprit.
Plus service charge. Plus service charge on the platform. Because there is service charge.
No, of course, there is. Because when you pay online, even if you buy from Amazon or you buy from any platform, I mean, when you use your card to pay, of course, there are There are small charges. I mean, that's normal in any platform. It's a normal thing globally. It's best practice all over the world. But for me, I would say the best achievement of this administration in terms of immigration is in terms of border governance. Because border security is everything in life. I'm happy that Oga is a security personnel, a retired assistant director general. He understands this fact in the security circle. A secure border is a safe nation. If you cannot control who enters or who leaves your country, then you are doomed. And the lead agency when it comes to border security is Nigerian Immigration Service. The law has given them that responsibility. So the ability of Immigration Service to satisfactorily discharge that responsibility is very integral in the accomplishment of our national security strategy. So because of this, as of today, we have sorted the issue of the air border. That's why there are our airports now. We have our e-gates, we have our advanced passenger information system, our PNR, which is connected to all security databases in the world, including the Interpol 247. So before anybody comes to Nigeria by air, we know you. We have your background, we have your record. And if you're a person of interest, either you've committed a crime in America, you've committed in Tokyo, you've done this in Venezuela, we'll get you. We know you. So Nigeria is not a hiding place. It's not a place where you can sneak in anymore to say. So we have the APR, the PNR, and we have the e-gates for the purpose of convenience and national security. You know, with the e-gates now, we finished the Abuja. Abuja is 100% ready for commissioning. We're waiting for the president to be able to give us a date to commission the Abuja e-gate. It's ready 100%. The Terminal 2 in Lagos, the 8 e-gates are ready 100%. I was there on Friday. They were just doing sensor alignment, which was completed yesterday, completed 100%. Now today we are moving to the D wing, which has 4 e-gates. And the D wing will take a week to complete. The E wing is presently shut down because of the fire incident, you know. So, but once that is clear, we will do the 8 in the E wing. So within the next 3 weeks, Lagos is going to be fully completed. And once all things being equal, depending on when the E wing is obviously open for business, and once that is done, we're moving to Kano. We're moving to Enugu and Port Harcourt, and of course, we do not see that the 3 other airports, you know, Kano, Enugu, Port Harcourt, taking us more than 1 month, you know, including logistics, because we are putting 4 gates. Because the number of gates depends on the traffic that you have. You know, Lagos has 21 because Lagos has 3 terminals, you know, plus the private, making 4. So that's 21. Abuja has only 1, you know, which is 8 gates and so. And also the land border. I won't want to talk too much about what we've done because it's purely security. But our border space, a large expanse of our border, land border and marine border today, we have live viewing, and of course we have a command and control center already completed, you know, and it's waiting. We just need the president to come and commission it. And I'm happy that 2 weeks ago, IATA came from the headquarters in Canada. And it's on tape. They actually said that the command and control center in Nigeria is one of the best anywhere in the world, and that makes me happy. Nigeria today is one of the 20 countries with an interactive API system. That means that we are ready for security. So for me, with what we have been able to be, because we believe in the Ministry of Interior that a good solution is not good enough for Nigeria. The best solution is what Nigeria deserves, and that's what we're trying to put
all right.
Lest I forget, just 1 minute on the issue of immigration. Before we came, our passport, of course, we inherited a backlog of about 204,000. And within 2 weeks, God helped us to be able to clear it. And we put on, a template. We automated the whole process. And again, we just finished our retreat yesterday, Sunday. Yesterday, we were at work. We were working, and I'm saying on air, I could remember when Mr. Tony Elumelu saw me yesterday at the retreat. He said, a public agency working on a Sunday. I said, well, the Ministry of Interior, because we are responsible for internal security, and there is no holiday, there is no weekend when it comes to internal security. You work all through. But our passport, I have to say this, we had there was difficulty in reading details of our passport because of what we call the PKI and PKD. Nigeria was not, our passport was not on that architecture. But today, I can tell you that we've been able to sort that. So the level of security that the American passport has, by having what we call the public key infrastructure and being uploaded, all details of our passport being on the public key directory, a global body which in line with ICAO standard, is the same one that the Nigerian passport has now. So very soon you will see that the rating of our passport will definitely shoot up, because issue of proliferation of passport, issue of any chance, there will be zero chance for anybody to be able to fake the Nigerian passport and whatever, because as we issue it, it gets uploaded into the global database. So they know when they swipe it, this is a Nigerian, it has the key, it has the signature, the e-signature of Nigeria. So we are doing this in line with global best practice. So these are some of the things we've done.
All right.
Maybe later, so that
yes, we'll talk about
fire
service and all that.
And of course, the ministry as well.
I know that the Ministry of Interior has a broad, range of responsibilities. So we'll get back to you, but let me bring in Mr. Katsina. You were in the DSS, and so the minister had extended an invitation to treat earlier. Give us an idea. What do you make of the Nigeria border as it is in terms of security? One thing is clear: Nigeria has very massive borders that cannot be manned as it is, and that's why the minister is talking about technology. But what do you make of security at the borders at the moment?
Actually, first, I'll congratulate the minister and Mr. President for appointing you. Actually, I've been following the events in your ministry, and what you have said is the truth. In fact, knowledge-based approach to anything is the key to finding solution. And what you are doing is what should be encouraged. It means in the long run, Nigerians will get the results of their investment in Mr. President. So congratulations, Mr. Minister, for what you are doing. Please keep it up. On the issue of this border security, you are safe as your neighbor. Whatever we do, the infrastructure in our neighborhood matters. So the infrastructures on border security that have been put in place now are what we should encourage to expand. For instance, in other countries, as the minister is trying to do his approach in terms of global best practices, you see we have border management community departments that comprises of all key security sectors. I think that's what Nigeria should imbibe, because there should be a department, not only the immigration department, that should comprise all other security agencies to work with your ministry, and the ministry in charge of internal security, to expand the process of border coverage. When we enhance border community relations, most of the issues we are facing now will reduce. When you emphasize on the issue of one agency only to handle the security aspects of the border, it will not help, especially in a situation like Nigeria where we have porous borders, and most of the communities, like for instance in Katsina and Lagos and Jigawa and other states, there are relations that you cannot differentiate to who's a Nigerian, who's a Nigerian, who's from Benin, who's from Lagos, and what have you. But when you integrate the border communities in border monitoring, you will get the best out of it. It's not only the issue of manning the border entry points, it's beyond that. Most of the people that come to Nigeria illegally come through the porous borders. But when you integrate border communities in the security networking, it will give you better results. That's what we should do to enhance border security as far as that is concerned. I want also to comment on what Mr. Minister has said in terms of the prisons. That is very vital. Prison congestion and prison breaks are issues that definitely, as you have started, you should sustain it. This committee, as you said, will go and audit. What they should do, they should also enhance in the aspects of the auditing the offenses committed by people. Let me be frank with you. There's an NGO we are working with. What you have said is true. What we need is judicial empathy. Most of the judges that send people to prison, I don't think they know the gravity of sending somebody to prison. About last month, we set some people free. Do you know among the inmates that we set free, there was a 70-year-old woman, and she did not commit crime. It's just issue of debt between her and somebody, and you know the economic situation. And you know the amount is only 50,000. There are people, these people you see pushing barrels and the rest, they're selling mangoes and whatever. Most of them carry them on loans. If they cannot pay, they will be sent to prison. These are the issues that I'm telling you, the way you have started, if they are looked into, definitely. Because more than 70% of these people that are in the prison are awaiting trial. And when they go, they will forget about them. They will learn crimes that are beyond the management of the security agencies in the country. So the emphasis you are putting in doing something to the correctional service, Mr. Minister, please continue it. You have the backing of the Nigerians. I'm telling you this because I've been following what your ministry is doing. It's excellent. Because internal security matters. And internal security, especially in Nigeria, starts with the correctional service. In other countries, whether we try to avoid even sending people to prison, but in Nigeria, anything you do, when the police arrest you, they will go and meet these judges and they will just take you to prison. For what?
That's why it was changed from prison to correctional service. So, you know, when you get in there, you get the corrections that you need.
But
to
you don't get the corrections now.
All right, thank you so much.
The issue is not the issue of the corrections now. It's the issue that you should not be even taken to the prison. Because what we should do is, that's why I say we need judicial empathy. Our judges, please carry them along. They need reorientation, especially at the local levels. They will just give you remands without thinking of the repercussions. And most of the people that have been taken to prison, I'm telling you, they don't deserve to go there. Simple issue of debts, quarrels between families and what have you. So the issue of judicial reforms and especially alternative dispute resolutions mechanism are issues that I think the ministry should invest in. Because instead of just anything you do, we take you to conventional courts. The ADR system should be introduced into Nigerian judicial process. When we do that, madam, I am telling you, it will reduce a lot of problems that we're facing. The issue of prison breaks we're facing, do you know the reason? Most of the criminals that should have been sentenced within 1 month to 2 months will be on remand for over a year, 2 years. There are people that have been on remand for over 5, 6 years on the issue that should have been treated within 1, 2, 3 months. So I think what we should do is we should partner with the Ministry of Interior, give it the necessary support, and I'm happy you've opened up for people to come in and assist you. That's the issue of the essence of appointing people that have the competence to manage issues. If you expand the process of the contacts, I'm telling you, Minister, you will perform exceptionally, and Mr. President will be happy by appointing you there, because what Nigerians need is somebody that will address their concerns, not people that will add problems to what they're facing.
All right, thank you so much, retired Assistant Director General of DSS.
I appreciate what I just said. Let me say this. In the area of border, some weeks ago, just like a week ago, we met with the Border Community Development Agency. Yeah. And at various fora, I've always said it, even when the Army Week, Nigerian Army Day or something week, I said it, and I've said it.
60th anniversary.
Yes, I've said it everywhere, that we cannot secure our borders without the Border Community Development Agency. And we came up with this border governance roadmap. And in that border governance roadmap, the committee that worked on it included the ministry, led by the PAMSEC, who was chairman of the committee. We had the NIS, that's Nigerian Immigration Service. We had the Border Community Development Agency. We had the Surveyor General's Office. We had the Boundary Commission. We had, and so many other agencies that are involved, because in the security circle, the border communities anywhere in the world are called the night watchers, because they are the ones, that can give you that information that they know who comes in, who does not belong, and who goes. So they are night watchers. So they are involved in what we have done, and I said this, the spirit behind the establishment of the Border Community Development Agency, I think it was in the year 2002 or 2003, it's to be more of a security agency than any other thing, because if you do not have the confidence of your border community neighbors, it is difficult, because I'll give you an example. In a place like Katsina, there are communities that the children go to the neighboring country to school because they don't have school. They go to hospitals. So there are children there in those communities, though they are geographically Nigerian, but orientation-wise, ideologically-wise, they belong to Niger Republic or other countries, such that they cannot even speak English. They speak French more because they learn, they write in French, because that's where they school. So there, some of these children cannot even recite the Nigerian national anthem, but they can freely recite the anthem of the neighboring country. So issue of patriotism, issue of loyalty comes in. And what keeps a nation safe is the patriotism of the citizens. That's what keeps you safe. It's not just by virtue of infrastructure. It's not by gun. It's about patriotism and ideology. Because you need, when you see an American, if something happens, you see all Americans coming together as one. God bless America. This is about an attack on America. Not until as a country in Nigeria we get to the point that we see the Nigeria's problem, not just as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's problem,
but our problem. Thank you.
Our problem.
Thank you very much.
It is then that we will be able to find solution to our problem. And lastly, before we go, I don't want to take all your time, on the issue of the corrections. When you look at the number of inmates we have, I tell you, Nigeria, we are law-abiding people, because the whole population is less than the inmate is less than 80,000. If my mathematics is right, that's about 0.04% of our population. So you will know that it's not that we are so, in a country of 200 million people, we have just 80,000. But this 80,000, as you rightly said, part of what the audit is to cover is the offense, is to look at some of this, so that at the end of the day, that will form the basis of our collaboration with even Ministry of Justice. Because we are just housekeepers, we keep them. But who sends them? And also, we must also look at activation of non-custodial services. There are certain offenses that should not be in correctional centers. They should be non-custodial. We look at that. It's already in the law. It's just a matter of us activating what the law says. And of course, if somebody is an awaiting trial, I'll give you an example of Ikoyi. We have 3,034 inmates in Ikoyi as at last week. Only 300, slightly above 300, are convicted. Over 2,700 are awaiting trial. So the rate of awaiting trial is not within our control as correctional service. That is purely the issue that has to do with the judiciary. But it's something we must now sit down with judiciary and look at. And lastly, on that topic, is the issue of correctional service being on the concurrent list. So, because more than 70% of these inmates are actually state offenders, not federal offenders. So, but we think it's a debate. It's a discussion we must have with the states.
Definitely, when you engage them.
If federal government is bearing the whole cost, then we need to also sit down with the states, so that they'll talk to the magistrates. There are certain offenses that you should not. For instance, somebody like I'm owing you money. You understand? Maybe 5,000 naira, and because you have power, you just use police, arrest me, 48 hours. Oh yeah, magistrate, dump him in the correction. It becomes federal government's liability.
Yeah, I actually witnessed one case like that, where the immediate past chief judge of the FCT released a young boy, and his offense was that he took a loan of 100,000 naira and couldn't pay as at when he should pay, and he found himself there and spent some time there. So I understand that.
All right, so much to be said. From today's what has played out to the Honourable Minister, you need to come here more often. That's what it means. So
yeah, because the time will be
of course, so that we can begin to talk about these issues. Let's quickly get to Dr. Agomo now. I'm sure you've been following the conversation. So much has been said about the correctional service, and of course, the initiative by the Honourable Minister making sure that those who deserve to be there are actually there, and then the reforms taking place. But could you speak to us about the jailbreaks that we've been having in the country? What would you say are the factors responsible? Because it's one too many and causing concern for a lot of Nigerians.
And I must I continue just to thank him for his passion and his focus. But now on the question of the jailbreak, and this is a very critical issue. My point here is that we are not doing the needful. And we already have the legal framework that is supposed to promote this. So if you go to the Nigerian Correctional Service Act of 2019, Section 28 of that act, subsection 1, 2, and 3, clearly states these security facilities. None of those things are currently happening. So I want to encourage the minister
we hope that we can that can get better sooner, so we can of course get a perspective on that issue. Like she said, it's a very important issue. Dr. Agama, are you there now?
Yeah, I'm just saying that in that section 28, part of what it talks about is the security processes and in all maximum security facilities. So, for example, in terms of parameter wards, it talks about 2 parameter wards. And I like that the fact that the minister also talked about the buffer zone of 100 meters. That is also in the act, though not under section 28. So I'm encouraging that we should have proper classification of all correctional centers, not by name, but by the security processing and for each of the of that categorization of those centers. And the particular inmates that are sent to each, so risks and needs assessment must be properly aligned with the security classification of the particular correctional center. And the programs, the regime in each of those facilities must also be so aligned. So again, encouraging everyone, and indeed the Honorable Minister, to look closely in terms of full implementation of that section 28. And I believe that if we do that in the next 3 months to 6 months, we can control what is happening and there will not be the kind of situation we have. Linked to that point is that security is a whole of society's approach. And we need to look at this in this dimension. Person close to your neighbor must begin to think in those elements, in those processes. Thirdly, I like what the minister said about issue
network connection is a bit not too strong there, but of course that we hope that strengthens so we can get to Dr. Agama and get her perspectives. Honorable Minister, I'd like to get back to you. We've talked about the correctional service, you talked about immigration. Could you speak about the fire service?
Yeah, I will speak about the fire service, but I want to just buttress what she said, and I mean, I say this without patronizing her. She's actually one of the best resources I think we have in the country when it comes to correctional service. And the issue of classification of corrections, the correctional center, is very key.
Yes.
And it's part of what this committee, the audit committee, is to do. Because we see what separates, in most of our correctional centers, what separates a maximum from a medium is basically a gallows. That, okay, correct, the maximum has a gallows, but when you look at the issue of the perimeter fencing and stuff like that, there's nothing much. And as I said, we have 256, and it's not child's play in terms of the fund that is available. And I always say this: President Tinubu did not become president 200 years ago, so we can't expect him to solve 200-year-old problems in one day, in 1 year. We shouldn't expect that. I mean, I won't come on air and promise what I know might not be totally achievable within that time frame, because whatever we say as a government, we're known to be sincere. We're not spin doctors, and we don't believe in propaganda. We say what we will do. So what we're doing is that we're taking these correctional centers one after the other based on their importance. For instance, when you look at Kuje, you know that Kuje has more. I mean, all correctional centers are important, but the level of priority of Kuje is higher than probably another, because the caliber of inmates, the kind of offenders that we have in Kuje makes Kuje, for instance, I'm just citing it, more of a threat, secure than some other correctional centers. So we're already doing that, and when you get to Kuje, I don't need to talk about it. You will see what we have done, in that regard. The attention we want to start giving to Port Harcourt now and some other correctional center is different from what we're giving to some other small, because a Port Harcourt correctional center has thousands of inmates, and so there are a lot of things. And of course, I have also said these are short-term fixes. The long-term fix for me is for us to build a 21st century correctional centers where you can have even the courts.
And that brings about the 3,000 capacity.
The 3,000 capacity. Like
only one is near completion.
Yeah, but it's all about funding. But we are starting and working on that. And we are approaching, the president is so interested in relocating certain correctional centers. Because I'll give you an example. Even the one we're talking about in Kuje shares fence with a school. That's not ideal. When the law says 100 meters in terms of a buffer zone, of 100. The one in Ikoyi, and for instance, shares fence with the polo club. So that's not. The one in Benin is even GRA, The one in Enugu is almost by the
market.
By the market. There is the one in Ibadan, Agodi, So there are a lot of, so even when there's a jailbreak, to get them,
it's easier to escape.
So it's easy to escape. So we are looking at all this and trying to actually do a mapping. How many correctional centers do we really need? Of what capacity? See, if we reduce the rate of inmates of awaiting trial, detention, believe me, more than 70% are awaiting trial. It means we have less than 24,000 convicted in our correctional centers. So we have to now come up with policy. If you are awaiting trial for a non-violent offense, why do you need to start serving the term? Can we have non-custodial centers for non-violent awaiting trial? These are things. So it is about, like what she said. I agree 100% with her. We must now sit down with the technical partners and put it on the table, put the act on the table, and start outlining, then come up with a workable roadmap. As I said, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not interested in building a strong system for himself alone. He wants to build a strong institution, the Nigerian institution that will outlive his legacy. That will outlive his government. That will be his main legacy. And in Ministry of Interior, we have keyed into that vision of his. So that is the issue with our correctional center.
Especially the issue of awaiting trials.
Exactly.
If you will address that, I'm telling you, it will solve most of the problems.
You know that you now have less than 30,000 maximum. It's about 24,000 now.
But
maximum 30.
System.
Even if you have 3,000, it means that even if you have 3,000 capacity, if you have 10, maybe two per geopolitics. I'm just citing. I'm not saying that's what.
No, one.
No, as he rightly observed, if you address the criminal justice system, is the main problem.
It's the criminal justice system which the Nigerian Correctional Service or the Ministry of Interior alone will not handle. But let's talk more about fire now. Let's talk about the fire service. Fire service all over the world is pivotal when it comes to emergency management. But here, you may not find the capacity to be that.
Let me tell you something. The first thing you need to do when it comes to fire service, and we're already working on that, is to change our mindset. Fire service anywhere in the world, it's not just fire service. Fire service all over the world is the first responder in any emergency situation. They are first responders. Fire service has the highest responsibility for rescue operations all over the world. We have to understand that. That's number one. Then number two. So the first thing is understanding what fire service should be doing in the 21st century. That's one. Number two is for us to now look at the factors limiting the performance of the fire sector in Nigeria. And I'll tell you the biggest factor is, of course, the law. The Fire Service Act was enacted in 1963. So it's not even amendable to the best of my knowledge. There's need for repeal and enactment, not reenactment, because it has to be a full new law creating what we think should be fire service, fire and rescue service.
What are the constraints of the old law?
Okay, number one, the old law gives no power of enforcement to the fire service. I'll give you an example. If you do not have fire equipment, by the old law, there is no penalty. All right? Two, before you build in anywhere in the world, fire service has to supervise. For example, commercial buildings, even exit point, muster point, all this thing has to be seen. And two, where are our water or fire hydrant points? These are issues. Then two, the Fire Service Act makes the present one as it is of 1963, makes fire service just an operator, not a regulator and not as an enumerator. So the fire service anywhere in the world is always one of the highest employers of labor. Because we must now sit down and look at private sector participation, especially in area of medics. When you call an ambulance, fire service comes to your rescue because they run what we call the EMS, emergency medical services. It's run by the fire service, even in the US, anywhere. There's need for private sector participation. So fire service comes in when there is a massive fire. Then you bring them on board. But when there are small issues, or for instance, when somebody faints and you need to resuscitate the person, emergency medical, these are things that the private sector can do. I'll give you an example. All commercial buildings, you have security, private guards, even in banks, in all these areas. Tell me one that you can see that has a fire and rescue service officer. Yes, you might say fire does not happen every day, emergency does not happen every day. The same time robbery does not happen every day. But that does not mean you don't have security. You should not have security.
I think we can start the process.
And when you look at the process, if there is fire today, God forbid, in any place of worship, I use it as an example, is there a muster point? Do people even know?
Not even fire extinguisher.
And in most homes, in most places, in most markets, we have fire extinguishers, but they're nothing but piece of furniture. People cannot even use it. No matter how big fire becomes, it must start little. Timely attention to that can, of course, save the bigger damage. So we must, and don't forget, this is captured under the Constitution. The primary responsibility of government is to protect lives and property. And protection of life and property is, you cannot divorce fire service away from that. So for us, we must make our law in such a way that the law allows for the private sector to be able to invest in the fire service. And of course, even in fire, in emergency, in rescue, in medical services. When you do this, then you are calling 911, you are calling this, you are calling that, can now work. Because there is no point calling help that will never come.
From what you're saying, Honorable Minister, it means the present investment in the Federal Fire Service is a complete waste?
It's not. I told you that instead of a mono role, the service should have 3 roles. Number 1, the service should be an enumerator. For instance, they should be able to, okay, you want even 4 roles, they should have 4 roles. Number 1, to be the enumerator. For all commercial buildings, markets, banks, schools, you should have fire and rescue service officers that you employ, people that can use fire equipment. Their responsibility is for safety, like safety officers. All right? Those people will be employed by the private sector. But of course, it is the fire service that will be able to say, okay, this is the number you need in Wuse market. in case there is an issue.
And train them as well.
That is, and train them. That's one. Two, fire service should be a regulator of the industry, because fire service is an entire industry, and it includes people selling fire extinguishers, selling this and that. It's a massive industry. It's an end-to-end thing. It's massive. So they should be the regulators. What quality can you bring? What can you do? This is what this is. They should be regulators, just like the way civil defense regulates the private
security guards. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to pause you.
The third one, let me go before. The third one is for fire service now to now be, of course, they are going to be the trainers. That's why we are building the fire academy in Shedder. I think within this week, we'll be doing the foundation laying ceremony and to complete it within the next 1 year. That is where these fire rescue and service officers will be trained. You hold the certificate, we train you, you hold the certificate, private companies can now employ you. And of course, they will not be the enforcers of the law, such that you give them enforcement powers. If you want to build, for example, you should get approval.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. We have to take a break at this point. When we come back, of course, you would be able to, highlight some more points. Let's take a break. Stay with us.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undoubted demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than destination.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA. The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids. Milo 3-in-1 is such a smart choice. Milo, energy to go further.
From Nestle.
The new Happy Sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just one sachet for your toilet bowl. It gives 10 times better cleaning and big savings too.
Wow, Helen!
Sparkling clean toilet with Happy Sachet.
Meet lovebirds Jayola and Adama Davies. Their dream of living together as man and wife has finally been fulfilled.
The latest couple in town. Mr. and Mrs. Jaye Davis!
But an invasion by their troublesome families was not a scenario they bargained for. Her mother moves in. His mother shows up with his little niece. Then her younger sister joins the scramble.
You want to stay?
Married life suddenly becomes very complicated even before it started. Follow their story on this channel as they confront every challenge as it comes. Family forever, the story of our lives.
Nigeria means unity.
Nigeria means freedom to me.
Nigeria means greatness to me.
Nigeria is indivisible. There is nothing you can do. We all have to savage it together and learn to love each other. We are indivisible.
As a mother and a leader, I will always preach for peace and unity in this country, because that is the only thing that will give us progress. Though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand, and it is the woman that does that.
All right, welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA, and we have the Honorable Minister of the Ministry of Interior as well as other guests with us looking at the Renewed Hope Agenda 1-year anniversary. Before we went on that break, we're talking about the fire service. Of course, the Honorable Minister has highlighted so much about the correctional service, talked about immigration, and like I told him during the break, you need to come for different programs, editions, where we talk about the different agencies under your ministry. But let's just quickly touch on the issue of identity cards. I know you talked about passports earlier, but identity cards, that's also another issue on the lips of many Nigerians. Of course, there was this announcement about a new identity card, all of that, so with chips and all of that. Could you highlight what is going on as regards identity cards? What we have, what was issued to us in the past, is that still valid, or is there something else in the pipeline?
No, it's very valid, very, very valid. But the most important thing for us is not even the identity card for now, with due respect. I think the most important thing to the government is the harmonization of our database. Yes. For us to have a single point of contact, that's very key, you know. We started that process. As today, we have completely harmonized the Nigerian Immigration Service database with that of NIMSI, because by law, NIMSI is supposed to be the custodian of all identities, you know, in Nigeria. So it's when we are able to do that we will be able to reduce identity fraud, we'll be able to reduce duplication, and of course there will be easy access to data and verification of identities. And what we're doing now with the SIMs that we're developing for the correctionals is to also be able to integrate it, you know, with the NIMSI database. You know, now it's impossible for you to get a Nigerian passport if you don't have NIMSI, because our data now is pulled directly. There's a handshake, real-time handshake between NIS, Nigerian Immigration Service, and NIMSI. So once you want to apply, all you need to do is put your NIN number. Once you put your NIN number, it auto-populates the form for you. So in a scenario, so what it means basically is your name, your details on NIMSI data space cannot be different on the NI, because if you say, and it's needed for security reasons anyway, because how do you defend people you don't know? How do you protect people that you don't know? You know, so that is the most important thing. And of course, the NIMSI under the new DG, she's doing exceptionally well, a very techy, sound, young, vibrant individual, Bisoye Koka. And there's a lot going on in that regard. And of course, in terms of the identity, we're to also try, just like what the law says, NIMSI Act, to have a general multipurpose card, GMPC. That is what that was what the card was designed ab initio, you know, to be. You know, it wasn't just designed to be
a form of identification.
Identification alone. It's supposed to be a general multipurpose card, payment, this, that. There are a lot of other things, healthcare. So it's supposed to be a one-stop shop, like a single point, you know, of contact solution, you know, for Nigeria. And now NIMSI is awake to that responsibility. NIMSI is building a card system, you know, that will be able to touch on our lives, such that even if you want to travel, you might not necessarily need to go with multiple cards, maybe financial card, your bank card, your driver license, or whatever. It should be just one-stop shop, you know. So, but that, as I said, can only be fully achieved when we harmonize our data, you know, because you have to harmonize driver's license. You have to, I don't know any country in the world. I say this every point in time. You see, Mr. President keeps telling us at every point in time, a good solution is not good for Nigeria. Nigeria deserves only the best solution, you know, and that's why when you see even the road, you know, the Lagos all the way to Calabar Coastal Road, that's an ambitious project of this administration, which is fantastic. When you look at what Governor Wike, His Excellency Wike, is doing now in FCT, you know, and all the bridges, and you will now see that Abuja is a model and a modern city like any capital in the world, you know. So you can see that this administration, I'm just using these two, you know, as examples. You will see that this administration is not creating an African best solution. You know, we're creating a world-class, world-best solution to world-class solutions, because we understand that what is in vogue today, a solution that is so good today, in the next 10 years might be obsolete. So when we want to prefer solution today, we also try to put into consideration tomorrow's problem. such that the solution we give today will still be valid in the next 10, 20 years. And that's what we're doing with NIMSI. NIMSI, I can bet you, one-stop shop. We harmonize our data with that card. You don't need to carry your driver license. So NIMSI is putting everything together. But we can only achieve that from a technological point of view now, not as an administrator. But of course, I'm an IT professional. That's my background. Only when you are able to harmonize the data, and there's real time. Because there's no country in the world that I know, realistically, that's, an A-class country in the world that I know that you have more than 10, 15 numbers. Today now we have NIN for NIMSI, we have BVN for the bank, we have your driver license has its own number, your INEC, you have your voter identification number, your VIN, you have telco doing this, you have, so there is all this, everybody. But NIMSI was created to be the center, is to be the pool where everybody pulls together data from. And NIMSI, under this present leadership, I'm telling you, is ready, to play that role of coordination of national identity.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Minister. We'll come back to you soon, though briefly, so that we can talk about the NSCDC. But I see Dr. Joe Agomwo is there. We haven't enjoyed a lot of our contribution because of, problems with the Zoom. Dr. Agomwo, please tell us, are you satisfied with the implementation of the 2019 Correctional Service Act as of today?
No, that is a very honest and simple and direct answer. No, there's a lot we can still do. And that law provides a whole lot of possibilities. And I'm very happy with the level of passion and content that we hear from our Honorable Minister of Interior. So I would just mention some few things that had come up from the discussion, which actually that law actually provides for, that if we can implement. The Honorable Minister spoke very much about the number of persons who are crowding. If we look at Section 12, subsection 4 to 12 of that law, it tells us different things that we could do, especially having the early warning signal activated by the superintendent in charge of the correctional center. And there are different options that has to happen once that activation has happened and 3 months has gone. After 3 months, if nothing happens, then they will not receive, because that should be a way of checking this. The use of non-custodial measures. And this is really something that the Nigerian Correctional Service Act was on. The whole of part 2 of that law, so from section 37 sub 1, it gives you the different options. And many of those things can help Nigeria save money. Community service, probation, restorative justice, parole, and all of that. So I think that we need to fully, provide adequate funding for the correctional service to make sure that it's implemented very well. This is not the case at the moment. Even the staffing of the non-custodial directorate is not there. But what has happened is that the structures have been put in place in terms of the structures at the national headquarters of correctional service, the zonal headquarters, and the state, which needs to be commended. But much more needs to happen. I also want to pick on one other point that the Honorable Minister, which is the point around the number of persons in custody. The each problem with us in Nigeria is that we don't even know how many people are in custody in Nigeria. We only have accurate perhaps of those in the correctional service. There are about 18 institutions, 19, that detain people. And why can we not, as a country, have a centralized database of all of the persons who are in custody in all of the custodial centers at any particular time T? Then you can say, okay, 10% of those are in police, 50% are in correctional service. And without knowing that Pbat is saying about the need for integration of data, this is key, and we must commend it. But we need to make sure that all of the other agencies, we have to have the population in there. Now, the total number of custodians is so much of a problem. I understand the point that the Honorable Minister is making in terms of the manageability. But now correctional services have been placed in the concurrent legislative list. So we also need to have a clear map in terms of how can that interface happen to states. Make state correctional service law, following the model state law that was recently developed last year. I know the states have signed it. I am here in Benin City. It is one of the things I will be talking today. Also discussing the issue of restorative justice, which is one of the things I will be also speaking today. Now, let me quickly mention that it is in the benefit of Nigerians to implement fully the Nigerian Correctional Service Act. It is in the benefit of Nigerians to implement non-custodial prevention, because three things. Those in custody, there are people who are innocent, as the other guests had mentioned. Two, there are people who are there for minor offenses and have no business being there, because we need to understand that even if it's 1 hour you spend in custody, there are consequences. There are consequences on the state, both cost-wise, like the minister has mentioned, but that's not only the consequences. There are consequences for the family members. There are consequences in terms of general impact on the productivity itself that person could bring. Indeed, if people understand the effects of persons being in custody, that will be a problem in terms of continuing. Honorable Minister must be commended for his comments on the issue regarding, when he's talked about building institutions. I think that is key. But these things have to be made to continually be sustained over time. Building institution, we have to make sure, like the issue about the fines, the inmates that were on fine that were released, which is wonderful. But we have to put in a process that will be on a continuous basis. The reason is that what happens in custody, two things is the thing happening. One, the rates that people are received in custody, and second, the duration in custody. So we have to do things to control these two elements to ensure that people only get to be received in custody when it is as a last resort, and that the duration that they are in custody is manageable in such a way that we reduce pre-trial detention. If these persons are convicted, it is easy to manage them. It's not all the custodial centers that are overcrowded. There are about 30 of those, and they are in cosmopolitan places, the urban areas. If many of them are convicted, the Controller General can move anybody by law from any custodial center that is overcrowded to anywhere that is not. Zonal coordinator can do the same, and the state coordinators can do for those who are within their jurisdiction. So you can see there's quite a lot that we can do around those issues. So again, quickly, Section 12, subsection 412 needs to be dealt with. Section 28 that I have mentioned earlier, we need to ensure that Section 28 is a key priority so that we can stop this issue of jailbreaks and all of that. Section 28, sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, we need to do something about it.
Unfortunately, the network has paused you there, and also time is also against us on the program. As we begin to wrap up the conversation now, Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, I'd like you to just give us some other measures that we could take. I'm sure the Honorable Minister is listening to mitigate security threats, internal security threats.
Actually, the issue of NIMC should be a fusion center, not only for the National Identity Card and what have you, but for other security agencies to tap in. Because if there's proper coordination, I'm telling you, it will solve most of our problems in terms of watch list, in terms of looking for people that are ex-convicts and what have you. It will easify security content initiative in the country. So I think what we should do is, in addition to your own initiative of encouraging integration, not only with other institutes, but the security sector also should be domiciled to be tapping, because we need to have a national fusion center where we can tap information on almost everybody in the country. That will assist us in reducing crimes in the country. And on the issue of border security, madam, I think it's something that, as you have said, Minister, she has already said it, this forum is not enough for you to say everything. We should emphasize on these border community aspects, because we need to see how we can integrate the border communities to assist us in monitoring our national security. And the issue of custodial center is something that you are making robust arrangements. Doctor has made observations, which if we take, I think after this discuss, there are a lot of takeaways that the minister will go back to his table, sit with his team, and analyze and dissect. Because actually, our prison centers should not be brewing centers for more crimes. It should be correctional, as the Act has said now. Because if we address the law enforcement system and the criminal justice system, let us talk to our judges. Let them be more emphatic. Empathy should be what they should emphasize on, not enforcement of trivial issues that people should be assisted. As we have said, there are people that have committed little crimes. For some, it's just issue of debts between me and you, family disputes.
Intimidation.
Somebody will say, okay, I have police, I have the judiciary, they will just send you to prison. These are issues, I'm telling you, Minister, if you address them in terms of initiatives and reforms, and since I've shown the passion, you will build structures that will be beyond this administration. And the president will leave a legacy of service that will be commendable and that will be attributed to
Thank you. Thank you very much, Katsina, for your inputs. Now let's round off. We have just a few minutes to go. Honorable Minister, we haven't talked about the NSCDC, but each time I, get past a road, each time I pass by a road and I see a gaping manhole, it reminds me of the failings of the NSCDC because they are supposed to protect critical assets. This is just a basic. I know there are other responsibilities, but I don't know what you are doing in this regard to ensure that, like in other agencies under your purview, that the NSCDC also lives up to its billing.
Well, thank you very much. In 1 or 2 minutes, I will say this. The President is desirous of agencies living up to their billing and what they're supposed to do in line with the law. And the NSA has been very, very wonderful in this regard and many more. The first thing for NSCDC was for us to have what we call the Critical National Asset Policy to be signed. And it was signed by me, signed by the NSA, and I think been approved by the President. So with this, the power of the Secretariat, the power of critical asset maintenance is within of the NSCDC. So that had been done now, and I have told them very clearly, and I think that's what they're doing now. At the moment, we have over 800 assets, that the NSCDC that are presently oversighting and securing. I've told them I don't want NSCDC doing what the police is doing. There is no room for inter-agency rivalry. Let police do the job of policing, while NSCDC focus on the protection of critical national assets. Because we don't have the money to waste. We are paying police to police. Why must we be paying NSCDC to also police? So we have to. So we have been able to do that. And there was a day I saw the NSA, I was in the car, and I saw them in Life Camp Roundabout, saying inner light, and then I called the CG immediately and I said, no, if this happens again, there will be trouble. Because it's not your responsibility to be checking inner light and all those things.
Is that a critical asset?
So, and I can also tell you that so far, in terms of security, now we have even launched the Mines Marshal in conjunction with the Minister of Solid Minerals, So because our mine fields are our national assets, And now, since we launched the Mine Marshal, you will see that the report coming from the solid mineral sector in terms of violence, in terms of criminality has reduced, because NSCDC, and that's directly, the Mine Marshal is directly under the controls of the Minister of Solid Minerals. Of course, the NSCDC, but we train them, and they're trained by the military, then seconded to so we believe that, of course, we have the agro rangers now, to protect our farms, to ensure that we have agricultural supplies, and these are things they should be doing. And of course, issue of pipelines, maintenance, road, and all the power infrastructure. So we're working up on the policy has been signed, so we're working up on the methodology of implementation. By the time we are done with that, over the next couple of months, then we'll now unveil it, and you'll now see NSCDC
doing what it should do. All right, so thank you. We need to wrap up the conversation, but I'll ask you this quick question on a final note. When you were in the National Assembly, you had 220 aides, and it was to empower members of your constituency. Now that you're minister, has that number doubled or has it reduced?
Well, as minister, my responsibility is to assist the president discharging his responsibility
and his delegation.
And so this is not an elective office. So my responsibility is to bring.
So your aides have reduced.
No, to bring people that will help me, come up with the right ideas to ensure that Renewed Hope finds a final place of domiciliation.
And it's not for the nation now. Not to our constituency.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister Dr. Olubimi Tuji Ojo, Honorable Minister of Interior. It was was really great having you on the program. And of course, looking forward to having you some more times so we can, talk about so many other agencies under your ministry. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, retired Assistant Director General, DSS, former Security Advisor to former Governor Masari, Director, Monitoring and Evaluation, National Institute for Security Studies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of the conversation. And of course, Dr. Uju Agomo, I'm sure the next time you'll be on, you'll be live in the studio, so Zoom network will not interrupt your comments. Thank you so much, Director of Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, PROWA, and member, United Nations Subcommittee on Prevention of Torture. Thank you so much for your insight on the program. We do sincerely appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, that's Good Morning Nigeria this Monday, which happens to be Children's Day. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you take care of that child, whether yours or that of your neighbor. I'm Ian Ray John.
And I'm Victor Azu. Enjoy the rest of your day.